I want to thank you for coming. My name is Yuval, for those of you who don't know me. I want to thank you for coming, and not just coming, just also being part of this community. This is a very tight community, very strong community, which is creating amazing stuff, and will changing already the world, and will continue to change the world. I was thinking about doing a Balmer show, like running and screaming, but the stage is a little bit too short to do that. So I really love this organization, and I love you people. Okay? Let's talk about our mission for a little bit. Our mission, and that was the mission that we started with almost 2 years ago, is to build the best in the industry, community-based organization that will be supporting open source hardware and software, either directly or through collaboration, to focus mostly on edge technology and data centers which are small to mid-size, but at the same time enable companies that do want to actually take this to a mega data center environment do it. This mission changed a little bit recently, 6 months ago to 9 months ago, with extreme focus on the edge and what we're doing in the edge and how we're driving the edge. I think the edge is the future of our industry. It's going to be bigger than actually some of the cloud operators which are operating right now. And this technology is a technology of choice for that edge in deployments. A little bit of history about where are we, where did we start? Like, for me, it's like about next month is going to be the 3 years anniversary since I actually went to a really small show and presented a block diagram of the Open19 platform. That was like, people were looking at me and say, what are you talking about? What is that thing? Where are the cables? Where are the blocks? What's going on here? And since then, we went through a full evolution of actually developing the technology, bringing it to production, deploying it in production in multiple endpoints, multiple end customers. About 2.5 years ago, in a dinner in London, Cole Crawford and myself were sitting and saying, okay, how do I actually make this a community and not just a project coming from one company? And then the idea for the foundation came up, and then the idea of the foundation basically said, okay, let's build a foundation which is different. Let's build a foundation which enables commercial value, which does not force you to actually expose your IP altogether to be able to be successful. A community of givers and consumers, community that will do all those things. It took us about 6 months to build the foundation, and the foundation was established in April 2017. Since then, there was cycles of development, cycles of tuning, cycles of working with the different end customers and the end users to actually define how Open19 needs to look like. And then that led into a full release of the specification last September of everything associated with the infrastructure, and then associated with that, a large variety of servers that I'm going to talk about afterwards. In December of last year, we basically landed at 27 foundation members, about 2,200 people, individuals, which are community members. And we announced that 2019, from our perspective, is the year of adoption. We accelerate the adoption right now. We are working very, very hard to actually make sure that people have the solution that they need to deploy this, at the same time leverage the community and enjoy what the community is actually giving them. It's much more than actually, oh, I'm part of this organization. Each and every one of you is actually part of building this, of defining this, or doing the next generation of this. This is a community project, not a company project. So 19, we call it Open19 at 19, is the year that we're actually going to get the adoption, and we'll see by the end of the year we'll report where we are, but we expect very high adoption. If we look at the state of the foundation, like I said, 6 founding members were sitting on the board, 27 corporate members, and about 2,200 community members. The Open19 technology is fully contributed at this point. So from our perspective, we gave the specification. It's an open download, so anybody can actually take it. If you are a member of the foundation, you can also get access to the full package of the design files, manufacturing files, and you can take it and completely reproduce it if you feel that that's what you want to do. We got in about 6.5 weeks since we posted the specs out, about 400 downloads, which is very significant. And when we look at the slew of companies who actually downloaded this specification, it's a variety of companies from the server side, to end users, to integrators. All aspects of the technology are actually downloaded the spec and actually adhering to it. We are rapidly progressing. We have 2 mega data centers operators, which are in POC state, which is for us is a huge step because we did not target this initially for the mega data centers, but the mega data center operators saw the technology, saw the value, the financial value and the operational value, and 2 of them are now in POC testing stage. We have 6 adopters, which are actually either in evaluation or deployment. So we are all together right now between 8 and 10, which are actually deploying it and thinking of deploying it, which is huge for us because assume that the technology is available for people to buy only for the last 6 to 8 months. We are right now the established de facto edge technology of choice. Every place that you're thinking about edge, people directly associate this with Open19 hardware. Open19 hardware is tailored for the edge for many reasons, which we're going to talk about. But Open19 hardware is come from a place where pick your own server supplier, pick your own source of the power and cooling, deploy the infrastructure, and then the sky is the limit of what you can buy with servers. Because there's a huge variety of servers you can buy from. If it's the low-end servers, which are more microservers, all the way up to the extremely high power and high value servers. So if you have not downloaded specification, you can go to open19.org/project, download 2 specifications, one for the system level, which defines all the form factors, defines what it means to be compliant with Open19, and the other one is server level, going down to the server deep dive. One thing which is unique in Open19 is we are not defining what's inside the server. We're just defining the form factor of the server, and we leave the innovation platform for each and every one of you, or your partners, or your suppliers, saying, build me that server into that form factor because the infrastructure is already sitting in my data center, and I want this. And if you look at the demo space, you will see a lot of new servers with AMD, with technology which is coming through ARM, a lot of Intels. You will see a variety of everything. You will see a GPU-based solution coming. Everything is coming into this. The beauty of this is that any one of those suppliers of servers can actually create the value that they believe that they have, right? So if you can differentiate yourself from the next supplier of servers, you can actually be competitive in the market, and it's not everybody producing the same server. Everybody producing the same compatibility to the chassis, but not the same server. You can see in the front also, probably for the first time in the industry, 6 different suppliers of servers sitting in the same rack, in the same power system, in the same network connection, and they're all fully integrated and fully interoperate. That is the first in the industry is that you can get 5 more or more suppliers of servers sitting in the same chassis. It eliminates completely any aspect of lockdown. There's no more lockdown to a specific technology or specific rack. Any rack, put this thing in, there's a variety of suppliers who actually work for you. That is one of the biggest achievements that we were able to achieve with this technology, and that's created a differentiating aspect of creating a chassis which is common with a slew of server suppliers. If we look at why become a member, as a corporate or individual. As an individual, it's simple. You're actually at the front line of getting all the information that we're pushing out, all of our collaboration, all of our partners, people that join, people that talk about the edge, and you'll see today more talks about the edge, and you're actually at the front end of the technology. As a corporate, you can actually shape the way we'll build it. So like I said before, this is not a one-company project. This is a community project. So each and every one of you is expected to come and actually drive a solution which fits your customer need or your own need or your partner's need. And they'll be able to actually evolve the technology to a 2nd generation and 3rd generation that will actually create better, right? I have a term that you never buy the first hardware, right? You never buy the first car that comes out of a supplier because you don't know what you're going to get, right? You always buy the 2nd generation. The 2nd generation is actually coming, and we're going to make it really, really strong and much, much more manufacturable. You're part of a business-friendly, effectively equal. So every member of this organization is equal. There's no platinum member or gold member. Every member over here is a member. Every member over here has the right to actually say what they think, to contribute, and to work with the solutions. There's no hierarchy on who is actually controlling the foundation. The foundation is controlled by all of you. It's not controlled by anybody else. And that's something very unique to this foundation, and we're going to continue to maintain that uniqueness. You can get access to people which are the same mind as you. People are actually dealing with challenges which are brand new, which have not been invented yet, that needs to be invented, specifically on the edge. A lot of people over here, and you'll hear them today, on the edge, trying to invent how the edge is going to look. It's not really clear how it's going to look. You can be part of that. Okay? You can work on compliance solutions, and you co-market with the Open19 as well. So the Open19 organization is right now created a certain level of brand in the industry, and that brand right now gives us the ability to drive a solution that will actually enable you to promote your technology with it through either the marketplace that we have on our website or through direct PR access. If we look at what else is a benefit for you as a company, you get full access to design and manufacturing files, which means that if you're a manufacturer, from your perspective, you can tomorrow decide to say, I'm not just doing servers. I'm also going to build the chassis, the cages. I'm going to work with my cable supplier. I'm going to work with my power supply supplier, and I'm going to put my whatever switch I want. You get full access for all of this, and you can actually modify to what you feel is right. You get early access to any documents, which are documents in the thought process. And that early access also gives you the ability to incorporate into a new group in the foundation that we're going to announce this afternoon. You participate in the marketplace, and you can sponsor the events, which means that you get exposure for your technology, you get exposure for your building blocks. I want to announce today something new. We're announcing today the Open19 certification program. Moving forward, you'll be able to actually put an Open19 certified logo, which is you can see on the bottom over there. This is a self-certification. You can self-certify your cages, your switches, your servers, your cables, your power shelves, anything that is in there, and you can put this. From our perspective, this logo is a representation of a community and quality. It's a representation of actually what we're doing together. We're integrating all the technologies together. We're actually working together. We interoperate. But at the same time, we're very, very light. So we don't really qualify you. We give you the specs, and it's your responsibility to make sure that you're compatible with the technology. Okay? You can see more details about this in the open19.org. Right now, it's hardware-centric, but we will do this for software as well once we start integrating more software packages or do collaborations with other software open source projects. Let's do a technology update, quick one. Just to remind you some of the benefits of the technology. This technology fits to any 19-inch rack, anywhere. Doesn't matter what it is. As long as it's a 19-inch, you can put it in. There's no special rack. There's no special requirement on the rack. There's no special power distribution. Just a rack. That's all you need to be able to take it. It's fully redundant in design, which means everything is redundant, especially the power shelf, which is the most common element in it. It's redundant in all the dimensions, on the power distribution and on the management, etc. It's completely disaggregated, which means the server in slot 1 has no idea who is the server in slot 2. And the manager is happening completely from the outside. This system does not have a rack-level manager, does not have any common element which is sitting in the rack which makes the rack special, which means the slot 1 in rack 2 is being treated from the overall system the same way as slot 6 in rack 4. Rack 4, I have no idea that it actually is in rack 4. And that's the whole beauty of disaggregation and self-sustained servers. Servers sustain themselves. So there's no requirement for you to put a fan door on the back or do special cooling or something like that for the system. Every server will be self-sustained, which means EMI compliant, self-cooled, and safety verified. Extremely short integration time. We showed some videos, and we will show more videos of how this is easy to install. And I'm calling each and every one of you who is actually wanting to take the challenge to go out and actually we have a competition of how quickly you can actually cable that thing. And we have very, very nice gifts. I think some of them are over here. Very, very nice gifts on whoever is going to win it. We believe that we can actually today, with a little bit of training for techs, can load 100 servers into a rack fully loaded from scratch in about 40 minutes. And we actually it's with no precedence in the industry. It doesn't happen like that in the industry. In the industry, it takes days to do it, if not weeks in some cases. We're leveraging existing servers. Part of the reason that we actually have this variety of servers is that we built the infrastructure to accommodate any server. And when you accommodate any server, then most of the suppliers just drop a server in there, put an interposer card in the back that we actually gave away as part of the specification and part of the package, and make it an Open19 server. We extended it by a little bit, by about 1.5 inches compared to the other ones. And then you basically completely non-required to be in a position that you have to design new motherboard, which everybody knows it's a 12 to 18 month cycle, depending on which supplier of silicon you're working with, to be able to do that. This is one of the things that made us really, really easy to get fast adoption on the server supplier side. It's cost effective. We initially were operating on gut feeling that it's cost effective. Now we know that it's cost effective. This is saving tons of money for everybody who deployed it. Anybody who actually went and built the ROI model for it actually looked at it and said, okay, this makes sense. This is going to save me money, even at small volumes. I don't have to buy 1 million servers to actually get a price lower on the server, just by the fact that I got rid of the power supplies of the servers, just by the fact that the cables are 1/10 of the cost of a standard cable, just from the fact that actually I can, for every slot, have 5 suppliers bid for it instead of actually 1 supplier which tells me what the price of the server and that's it. I can't do anything with it. Just from those aspects, you can actually make this a much more cost-effective solution for your data center. We're extremely efficient on power distribution. The power distribution right now is at 96% all the way to the load. So from our perspective, we do 96% from wall to load, which is very rare in data center. Data centers usually operate on 89 to 92%. Just by that, it's huge saving on OpEx as well. And from our perspective, when we look at tiers of data center servers, those data center servers are coming in different shapes, and everybody has their own ideas and their own needs. And from our perspective, that's why we build it like that. Build it in a way that anybody can put whatever server they want. This is just a picture of showing on the left side a standard rack which is connected with 10 gig to the server. So you can see those copper cable RJ45-based solutions. And on the right side, you see the same configuration, same number of servers with 100 gig. If you take the one on the left and change those Cat6 cables into a DAC cables, which are 4 to 6 times more thick, you can imagine what will happen on the left side. We don't have a rack like that, so I don't have a picture for that. But just to get a feel of 10x the bandwidth with the simplicity that you see on the right side. We have a large number of servers right now. There are different kinds, different shapes, different configurations. Just ask your supplier to get it. I want to announce one more thing today. We are listening to the industry. The industry came and said, okay, your switch is awesome, and it's actually saving us money, etc. But I want to use my regular switch. I don't really want to use that special switch. I want to use the switch I'm used to, the switch with the network operating system that I used to. I want to do that. You're forcing me into a certain switch is a restriction that I don't like. So we developed a new cable, and that cable is going to do 100 and 400 gig connection. It will enable you to stay compatible to the server side, but on the other side, you'll be able to actually get a breakdown of QSFPs, SFPs, QSFP-DDs, OSFP, whatever configuration is the configuration of choice for you. We call it bring your own server, because you can fit any server in this configuration. Any server that can do back-to-front loading on air, you'll find with this. This will enable a lot of people which had concerns, my network topology is different, I want dual TOR, I want all kind of configuration. This cable will enable it. Molex is actually in production with this cable of the 2-to-1, so every 2 servers get 1 QSFP. But if your solution requires something else, reach out to Molex. They will actually be very open to actually develop for the right price and for the right volume, whatever cable that you need. So benefit of the adoption, right? Why should I adopt this technology, right? What's the deal? First, it's certified, which means that if you buy a server which is certified, you know it will be compatible 100% with the power, 100% with the network. It'll be fully tested. It'll be fully functional and independent in the rack itself. You have a flexibility on the environment of the network topology. Like I showed before, build whatever you want. And that's part of our motto. We don't tell you what to do. We tell you, we enable you to actually do what you need. And that's what we're trying to do. Very short time to do installation, a huge space and power savings if you optimize the servers, minimal field tech technicians. Our goal was the UPS guy should be able to install your server. And if you go to our racks, either ours or the Flex racks, you will see that it doesn't require more training than a UPS guy to open the envelope, put this in, and close it. That's all you need to actually be able to install a server in Open19. And it is edge optimized for that reason and many other reasons. Let's talk about where we are from an ecosystem. Everything is in production. And I'm not going to read the whole list, but everything is in production right now. So from your perspective, if you're at the point that you want to consider doing a POC or adopting, reach out to the suppliers and say, I want to buy this, or I want you to give me a POC, and you can get it today. You don't have to wait for oh, this is still in development, it's in beta, it's in alpha. Everything over here is in production, including servers, including the power shelves, including the cages. Why edge? So on the edge, if you look at this, the edge is a very special environment. The edge is an environment where it's not really clear what you're going to have, what kind of system you're going to have, what kind of environment you're going to have, what power, what is the limiting. You have 6 racks, you have 60 racks, you have 600 racks. The system over here comes and says, it doesn't matter. If you have 2 racks in the edge or you have 60 racks in the edge, as long as they're 19-inch, the technology to use for the 2 racks is actually going to go to the 60 racks as well. Just give us a 19-inch space, and you can fit it. It's actually, from a power cooling configuration and network configuration, gives you the ultimate flexibility. The power shelf that we designed with Delta says any power source, DC, AC, low voltage, high voltage, any power source that you have, the shelf will take, and then distribute it to the rack. This technology is rare. You can't see it everywhere. In a lot of places, for every different configuration that you have for power, you have to have a different power shelf. This is something that we're really insisted in. Cost effectiveness, the edge is, like I said, is going to be really big. People are really concerned that they won't be able to build many locations with the pricing that they need to make it. And Matt is going to talk about this afterwards, but you will see that now it's actually evolving, and they look at this and say, okay, this makes sense. Even in a small footprint, repeat it 1,000 times, and not a small number of footprints with 100,000 servers in them. And that is super important because now it's validated. Before it was just speculation, now it's validated that this is the case. Like I said, the UPS guys should be able to actually, and I changed it to delivery person so I don't want to hurt UPS or FedEx or anybody else. But in general, you don't need to make any training for your tech. You don't have to drive a tech 200 miles away from wherever your edge location is to install a server. You just push it in and it's actually in. That's it. The management system will pick it up. It's open source, which means that if you have an environment which is moving, you can actually modify the technology and match what you need. And it's new advanced technology that will come soon with liquid cooling that you can see on the floor and other aspects of the technology like high power cabling and high power environments that will come in the near future. So in summary, the first thing I want to do is thank you for your support for the foundation. Thank you for your support for the technology. Thank you for being a part of this technology development. And I think a lot of the people in this room contributed either to the technology, contributed to the adoption, contributed to the development, or contributed to actually just creating the ability to sell it to everybody else. Together, we are a strong community, and I'm going to repeat it again. This is a community group. This is not a single company or 2 companies or 3 companies who are driving it. This is a community effort. Each and every one of you is expected to contribute and influence and change the world any way you want. And you will see some presentation down the line talking about this. All new developments on adoption are going to come in by demand. So we brought it to a certain stable state. Everybody can use it. Everybody can actually deploy it, run a POC on it. On demand, if you need something else, you either go to your service supplier and say, hey, build for me this super duper 6 GPUs, 2 Skylex server, and this environment will support it. And in general, just to follow the Nike path, just adopt it. That's the only thing we need in Open19 for 2019. Thank you.